Hi, and welcome to Griff's Off Day Blue Jays Update. What can we say about the Jays and their 5-7 record so far? I don't want to be the sky is falling like Chicken Little, or even my fastball spiking like Brendan Little. So let's try and balance the good with the bad in this shortened podcast. And here we go. First of all, thanks to all those who offered support and condolences after the loss of our 15-year-old rescue beagle Kramer. The Jays are on an off day at home as I record on Thursday. And trust me, from many years of experience working in major league clubhouses, they will be 100% better off after a much needed win in the finale against the Dodgers than they would have been, obviously, if they had been swept. But this is a huge win for them, a huge off day heading into a Twins weekend series before going on the road. Let's start the optimism by comparing the situation of the Jays' win over the Dodgers on Wednesday with the series finale from last year against the Dodgers on August 10th, 2025, when Mason Fluharty famously came in with the bases loaded, struck out Ohtani, got a ground ball from Mookie Betts, and game was over, and all was right with the world. Should be noted that in the previous 13 games before that Fluharty heroic on August 10th, they had been 5-8, including in that 5-8 stretch, a 3-game pounding of the Rockies in Colorado, in Denver. And so after the 5-8, there was a lot of fan base talking about are these guys good enough to compete against the best teams? They pound the Rockies, then they come into Dodger Stadium, lose the first two, 5-1 and 9-1, and struggling to salvage one game in the series. And it looked, after Jeff Hoffman couldn't close out the game and Fluharty came in, before that, it looked like they were going to be swept. And there was the same feeling of fan pessimism and angst that I felt after the first two games and after the start, basically, of the Blue Jays season this year. The Sunday win spurred the Jays last year to a 21-12 record from that point moving forward, and they extended their lead from 3 games in the AL East to 5.5, and then they cruised home and managed to tie the Yankees at the end of the season and have the best record in the American League. So, I mean, there is historical precedent not to be panicky at this point. I in fact sent that comparison to John Schneider yesterday evening, and I could feel him smiling because he sent back a text with exclamation points and it sounds good to me. So that's the one way of looking at it. I'll offer that up as optimism. There's plenty of pessimism to come about this team because they haven't really responded. They haven't formed an identity of their own. They're still living off the 2025 American League Championship. They need to form their own identity. They need to incorporate Dylan Cease. They need to incorporate Tyler Rogers. They need to incorporate Jesus Sanchez and forget about what they did last year. I mean, it's great for marketing and promotions and George Springer leaping bobbleheads, but until they do it on the field, it's sort of all it is promotion. So let's go to game 1, where the pessimism really started when they were pounded 14-2 by the Dodgers at home in what was being billed as a rematch. Was the April, it was a rematch of the World Series and a chance for revenge, and they fell on their faces 14-2 live. Max Scherzer started, came out after 2 innings with a little forearm issue, which explained why John Schneider was so opaque when I had asked him before the game about not needing that 5th starter spot with the off days coming up until April 18th. I asked him, might Patrick Corbin or Trey Savage be ready by then? not knowing that Corbin was about to be called up and would be Friday's starter against the Twins, but he knew that. And so he was sort of skating like the Leafs defense. The bullpen in that trouncing was Josh Fleming, Joe Mantiply, Tommy Nance, Spencer Miles, and Tyler Heineman. Now, that group giving up 14 runs is not going to be counted on in big situations. So that's when you say that's one loss and just flush it. That definitely is a situation when you hear that came in to closer game, much better game, but the offense again struggled. They lost 4-1. Kevin Gausman was really good. John Schneider was thrown out for a balk call on Gausman, which was clearly a slide step following his three-way bounce, which he does on every pitch and has for the last 10 years. So people are suggesting that Schneider got thrown out because he wanted to inspire the team. I think he was thrown out just because he was so personally frustrated. I don't think there was any strategy involved. I think that he and Pete Walker have all this pent-up emotion that they can't yell at umpires anymore for missed strike calls because of the ABS system. So it's all welling up inside those two guys as they lean on the dugout rail. And I think it was all about John Schneider. So the seventh inning, here's this a synopsis, a capsule of the Blue Jays offensive struggle. Seventh inning, Okamoto challenged a strike three in this 4-1 loss, and it was successful. Then he doubled. Clement surprised with a bunt single, moving first and third. Davis Schneider, who is becoming a walk god, he walked to load the bases with nobody out. Jimenez, short fly ball to left that even Teoscar, they didn't challenge Teoscar at all, so it had to be really short. And Brandon Valenzuela struck out and Springer flied to right. That's just the way that the Blue Jays offense has been going. Game 3, which was a really necessary win, as we've already talked about, they won 4-3, still not playing well, but taking advantage of a couple of Dodger mistakes, including the play at second base when Jimenez slid in with a stolen base, the ball got away, and Davis Schneider scored the winning run. I mean, they had not played well up until that point. They had hung in because Dylan Cease, who struggled again early with his command, he found it for the next from the second through the fifth inning. And so that helped. Then Tyler Rogers helped. They had the bullpen set up the way that the bullpen is going to look when they are competing, not like in the 14-2 loss. This was the guys that they need to pitch well out of the bullpen, and they did, including Hoffman getting the first out of the ninth inning, striking out Ohtani, which takes us back to August 10th last year when Ohtani struck out in a big situation in the ninth inning. So what are the causes for Jay's concern at this point? I think one of them is that for the softest portion of their early schedule, the A's, Rockies, and White Sox, the Jays were 4-5. And with 6 games left against those teams, so they're going to have to win those last 2 series that are coming up against the same teams, the same weak spots in their schedule. Last season against the same 3 teams, they were 11-5 for the year. A lot of those games were later in the season, but whether they're in March and April or August and September, doesn't matter. They all still count when you're trying to repeat and get back to 94 wins, or at least 90 wins. 90 and 72 would be, at this point, a goal for them because that would make the playoffs. Second concern, the bench. The bench is weak. Without Alejandro Kirk, they have a second and third string catcher alternating. They're both switch hitters, but that's small consolation if they can't hit from either side. So your bench has the catcher who's not catching. So either a second or third string catcher on the bench, Davis Schneider in most cases, Miles Straw, and Tyler Fitzgerald, who we haven't seen. He's sort of there. Usually good benches have individual specific skills, at least one of the 5 tools that you're talking about. And this bench combined doesn't add up to 4 tools. So we'll see. We'll see if they can improve that, if injuries when Barger comes back. But they can't afford. They can only afford Heineman and Valenzuela behind the plate if the rest of the lineup is producing. And so far, that hasn't been happening. So it's glaring when a big moment comes up and one of those 2 catchers is at the plate and you have no weapons to get better in that situation. Another concern, the defense and base running have not been good. You look at the base running and with the offense struggling, not only John Schneider is trying to do things, but individual players are trying to do things. And Vlad has a tendency over the years to be over aggressive on the bases. He did that on Wednesday when he was thrown out on a ground ball to short, going from second to third to make the first out of the inning. So, yeah, they're pressing, they're struggling, and that all adds up to doing things that you normally wouldn't do. And that's not a good thing. The defense, you talk about the defense. Varsho can get to fly balls, but teams are tagging up and challenging his arm every time he catches a fly ball with men on base, and it's no contest. Grounds crew has a new task to go pick up the discarded pins from all the outfield hand grenades that are being thrown in. And it's not just Varsho, it's from all fields. Barger is a deterrent when he's there. He's not there. I think when Barger gets healthy, he has to play almost every day. I don't know what happened, whether he had the flu later on before he got hurt, or he was being benched for fundamental mistakes. But if that was the case, then there would be not enough players to form a starting lineup for the Jays. So the bench needs weapons and the defense needs an upgrade. A thought that I had was, how about Springer going back into right field? He's healthy. He's a better outfielder. He has a better arm than Eloy Jimenez, Jesus Sanchez. My idea is a platoon at DH of Eloy Jimenez, who's having a good start in Buffalo, established major league hitter, and Jesus Sanchez, right-left combo in the DH spot with Springer most of the time in right field until Barger comes back. Then you could platoon Lucas and Schneider in left field and have Varsho out in center. And I think that would help the depth of the team, help the depth of the bench. And in late innings, you'd have a bat able to come in and pose a threat off the bench. We're not worried about, this is the positive now, we're not worried about the Jays rotation. Go back and check the Dodgers last year and all the established starters that they had on the IL all during the regular season. Got enough of the quality arms back for the postseason for the World Series, and we know how that turned out. For the Jays, Gausman and Cease are your 1-2 anchors, and they're healthy, wealthy, and wise. And for now, the 3 to 5, you have Corbin, Patrick Corbin, Lauer, and Scherzer. Very soon, Trey Savage will be back, and Trey Savage in the offseason was considered to be a huge part of this team's immediate future. Jose Barrios, we're not sure what his situation is. He may never pitch for this team again. It sounds like he's as ready as anybody who's on the injured list, but I'm not sure whether given the names that we've mentioned already, whether they're going to give them a chance unless there's more injuries. Shane Bieber's still a long way off. I think they've known all along, all winter, that that he wasn't going to be ready until sometime at the earliest in May. So they've known that. That's why they added arms that we were wondering whether that they were redundant or not, which they're clearly proving not to be. Cody Pond's gone for the season, had surgery. As far as the bullpen, we talked about the 14-2 loss and the arms that went in there, but you got Louis Varland, Braden Fisher, Mason Fluharty, Tyler Rogers, Jeff Hoffman. That's 5 guys that can do it in close games for you. Jimmy Garcia is throwing bullpens. He might be ready before the end of April, which would really help, which would bump up the quality of the rotation or the bullpen, because right now you got Joe Mantiply, Spencer Miles, the Rule 5, and Tommy Nance, who is sort of borderline effective to remain on the team. If they can upgrade, they will. So you look at the upcoming schedule: Twins at home for 3, then a 9-game road trip to Milwaukee, Arizona, and Anaheim. And, that's outdoors, warm weather on the road. They don't have the pressure of all the celebrations being conducted for last year's team while ignoring this year's team. So it might be good for them to get on the road for 9 games. And bottom line, Griff says they'll be all right. Hope that helps. But we've been wrong before, but we're hoping we're not wrong here. So appreciate your support. If you like this, share with your friends, leave a comment, and don't forget our subscription list on YouTube and where you get your podcasts is growing. And I really appreciate all the support that we get. And once again, thanks for your sympathy on Kramer and his passing on Tuesday. Appreciate it. And Mal and I will talk to you early next week. Thank you.